Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture here in Understanding the Self. This time, we're gonna talk about the emotional self, part 1. If there is part 1, sa Tagalog, merong part 2. So, abangan nyo yung lecture after this version, there will be part 2. I want to emphasize the word emotion. We have first to understand what emotions mean before we talk about the emotional self. According to the APA online dictionary, because emotion is a very psychological term, no? This is what it means. Let me zoom it in. And as you read the definition of emotion, I want you to reflect, do you have this one? Okay, so read this one, pause the video if you need to, and then think. Sa tingin mo, ikaw ba, given this definition, you have what we call quote-unquote emotion. Okay? So, emotion, there are many emotions. There are no exact numbers how many emotions, but some examples are the following. Hindi pa lahat yan. For sure, merong mga emotions na na-miss out, no? So, you can just browse through these emotions and maybe pick 3 to 4 and then ask yourself, when was the last time you felt those emotions? When was the last time you felt sleepy? When was the last time you felt relaxed? When was the last time you felt happy? So on and so forth. That's a good exercise for you to get in touch with your emotions. But I want to go back to this definition of emotion and emphasize those two words. Let me zoom it in. Emotions are reaction patterns. Let me repeat, reaction patterns. What is the opposite of reaction? Action. Meaning, emotions don't just come out of nothing for no reason. There must be an action. There must be an event somewhere for emotions to be activated. Sa Tagalog, meron munang dapat mangyari. Merong action para magre-react tayo emotionally. I think a more popular word for what I'm talking about is the word trigger. Everybody say trigger. For emotions to come out, for emotions to be felt by someone, there must be something that will trigger a certain emotion. And trigger can be of two types. Meron tayong external and internal triggers. When you say external triggers, these are things outside us, most of the time in our environment, that activates certain emotions. Something that makes you happy, something that makes you sad, something that makes you irritated. So you can pause the video and reflect in your everyday life. What are the different triggers you encounter in your environment that activates certain emotions? Pwede nyong ilagay dyan sa comment section if you want to. But just to give you some examples of external triggers, when you browse social media, certain characters or people can be a trigger. Do you agree? Halimbawa, yung mga senators natin, some people, when they see a certain senator, can trigger certain emotions. Naiinis, naiirita, tumataas ang blood pressure, nagagalit. When that happens, we can say that senator is a trigger. Or not only senators, no, but human beings in general. Do you agree that a human being in your life can be a trigger? So I want you to pause and reflect right now, who are the people in your life that are powerful triggers of certain emotions, whether positive or negative? Sino ba ang tao sa buhay mo ngayon na talagang pag nakita mo, natitrigger, sumasaya ka? Or vice versa, sinong tao sa buhay mo ngayon na kapag nakita mo, simply by seeing the person or even hearing the name of the person, naiinis ka or nalulungkot ka? Those are good examples of external triggers in the form of human beings. Animals can also be triggers, specifically our pets. Sino dito may pet? Taas ang kamay. I think marami ang may pet dito. Would you agree that pets are positive triggers of our emotions? When you go home and you see your dog wagging its tail, tapos miss na miss ka niya, tinatahulan ka niya, dinidila-dilaan niya yung katawan mo, di ba? You feel so good. Your pet is triggering positive emotions in you. Another place can be a trigger. A certain place can be a trigger, like beaches. Di ba? Kapag marami sa atin, kapag nasa beach tayo, kapag meron tayong vitamin C, generally we feel good because those places are positive triggers. So whenever you hear the word Boracay, what do you think about? You think about good images. You feel about positive emotions. You feel happy, you feel relaxed because again, places can be triggers. I remembered when we were in the classroom, I asked my students, how about schools? would you consider your school as a positive or a negative trigger? Although it's external to us, but the effect can be positive or negative. And whenever I ask that question, students are divided. Some students, they would raise up their hands and say that schools are positive triggers. Kaya gusto nila laging nasa school. Malungkot sila kapag walang pasok. On the other hand, may mga students naman nagtataas din that schools are negative triggers. As much as possible, they don't like to go to school, and as much as possible, they want out. Gusto na nilang graduate kaagad. Kung pwede lang bukas na graduate na sila, ayaw na nilang makita yung school. So may mga ganong places, no? Could be positive trigger or negative trigger. Ito, the next slide I'm gonna show. I assume many of you will agree that this is a positive trigger of your emotions when you see your city, when you see your school under this announcement na walang pasok, most likely matitrigger yung happiness mo kasi wala kang pasok, walang assignment, walang boring classes, more free time, more time to rest, more time with family. So this image in social media can be a positive trigger. Now, triggers can also be internal. Ibig sabihin, galing sa loob yung trigger natin. And internal trigger is just one example. Ano yon? What is the most powerful internal trigger there is? That will be our thoughts. And where did we learn that in this subject? When we talk about the self according to psychology, where we talk about that beliefs, certain thoughts can internally trigger certain emotions. And that explains why two people in the same situation will have two different emotions. How could that be? Pareho lang naman ng situation yung pinagdaraanan nila. One feels helpless and the other feels hopeful. What explains that? The thoughts that are triggering those emotions. For the first person kasi, yung thought niya, negative. I am so helpless. So that line of thinking triggers negative emotions such as helplessness, depression, sadness. Sa pangalawa naman, God will make a way. It's a thought pattern that triggers positive emotions such as being hopeful. That's why, given that example, I want to offer an insight. We make our own emotions through our thoughts. Remember that. So whatever your emotional condition is right now, whether good or bad, a large chunk of that emotional condition comes from the thoughts that you choose to think about. Dun nga nanggagaling yung good news eh. If we control our thoughts, if we decide what thoughts to think about, then in a way, we are the ones who are creating our own emotional conditions. Okay? Now, before we continue, let's do this simple self-exercise. One way to get in touch with your emotions, I'm going to point at one emotion here, and as I do, I want you to think about what are your internal and your external triggers given that emotion. Okay? Number one, let's talk about calm, being calm. What are external things in your life that makes you feel calm? And then after that, internal. What thoughts? Whenever you think about this thought, it makes you really calm. Ilagay nyo sa comment section kung gusto nyo mag-recite. How about feeling happy? The same. What are external things that make you feel happy? Over and over again, sabi ng mga students, money daw, pera. Totoo ba yon? Kung totoo, ilagay mo sa comment section, agree. Kapag may pera ka ba, sasaya ka, magti-trigger ba yan ng happiness? Ilagay mo dyan, agree. Okay? How about internal triggers? What are some thoughts that whenever you think about this, you feel happy? And why don't you keep on thinking about it if that makes you feel happy? Diba? What else? How about being relaxed? What are some external things in your environment that makes you feel relaxed? How about internal things, thoughts, belief systems that make you feel relaxed? How about feeling nervous? Ano yung mga external things in your environment that makes you feel nervous? Obviously, some people can make you feel nervous, such as your teacher, or maybe a situation, such as public speaking. Sabi nga nila, no, it's one of the top fears of human beings to speak in front of many people. Yan. So, whenever you sense that you're gonna speak in front, it will trigger certain levels of nervousness. How about internal triggers? Saan ba nanggagaling yung nervous ng tao? What are the things that you think about that explains why you are nervous? How about being shy? What are some of the external triggers in your environment that makes you feel shy? How about thought patterns? Let's go internal. Mga bagay na iniisip mo na nagpapahiya sa'yo. Whenever you think about this thought, it makes you feel shy. And last one, surprised. What are some external things na kapag nangyari, when it happens, it will make you feel surprised? How about internal thoughts, belief systems that will make you feel surprised? Before we leave this part, let me ask two more questions. Are you someone else's trigger? And if the answer is yes, are you a positive or a negative trigger? Because in this life, we are so concerned with other people triggering our emotions and we blame them, di ba? Kaya ako nafe-feel bad kaya ako nanenervyos kaya ako naiinis because that person triggers me. Although that's valid, but just to balance things out, how about you? What do you think? What kind of trigger do you think? What emotions do you trigger to other people? And the thing is, I really pray that you are a positive trigger, don't you think? Life will be better if we trigger positive emotions to other people. That every time they see you, they feel happy. Every time they see you, they feel assured. Every time they see you, they feel peace. Diba, no? Kumpara naman kung trigger ka ng mga negative emotions, hindi maganda yun. So I want you to really reflect hard and then think hard. Be honest with yourself. Overall, in general, average, are you more of a positive trigger or a negative trigger to other people? Another question is, how are you managing your emotions? The word manage is very important. If there's one thing about emotion that you should learn, it is this. You should be managing your emotions, not your emotions managing you. Let me repeat that. You should be managing your emotions, not your emotions managing you. In psychology, we use this analogy, a guy on a horse. Imagine that this person is the self, the horse is the emotion. When can you say that you have a good emotional condition? If you have perfect control of the horse. You tell it to stop, it stops. You tell it to run, it runs. You tell it to jump, it jumps. Ikaw ang sinusunod ng horse. The moment that the role is reversed, the horse is the one controlling you. The emotions are eating you alive, you will be in danger. You will end up doing things, saying things that will destroy yourself and other people if you let your emotions control you. And the good news is, your ability to control your emotions, it's something that we can learn. Sa Tagalog, pwede mong matutunan. It's something that you can train yourself with. And we will talk about that in part 2 of this lecture when we discuss emotional intelligence. Sabi nga ng isang quotable quote from the book of Proverbs, one who is slow to anger is better than the mighty. One who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. Although this is a military language, but it really applies to each one of us, kahit hindi tayo mga sundalo. That good things happen to ourselves. The quality of the self becomes better if we have complete control of our emotions. Another controversial question in psychology when we talk about emotions is the brain the cause or effect of emotions? That's a good question. Do you feel something because your brain makes you feel that, or yourself feels something so your brain reacted that way? In modern day neuroscience, we can already predict what emotion a person is feeling simply by looking at brain activities like this via MRI or fMRIs. So kapag ganito yung brain activity, happy siya. Kapag ganyan yung brain activity, we can predict sad siya. But then again, we ask the question, who is feeling the emotion? And there are two models to answer that question. The first model is your brain makes you feel certain emotions. Kaya ka malungkot, kaya ka masaya kasi yung brain mo, ganito yung activity. But a loophole in that model is when we talk about physicalism. Diba? Physicalism yan When you say that all about the self can be explained biologically. The problem with the physicalist model is, if you think about it, the brain is consisting of trillions of atoms, nerves, and cells. Diba? I-combine mo yung atoms, nerves, and cells that will make up the brain. Now, the problem is, atoms, nerves, and cells don't have feelings. So why is it all of a sudden, if these things with no feelings, you combine them all of a sudden you say that the brain as a whole has a feeling? Yeah, that's one of the problems in this model according to neuroscientists. That's the loophole in saying that the brain makes you feel something. That's why to more or less fix that loophole, gumawa sila ng isa pang model, which is the psychological model. That it is not the brain that makes you feel, it is the psyche, the consciousness, the self that feels something in the psychological realm, and the brain simply reacts to those feelings. And when the brain reacts to those feelings, those are the things that you see via MRI. Yan. That would be the second model. But up until today, psychologists are still torn, are still divided. They still don't agree whether to fully accept this model, the brain model, or the psychological model. It's still a very thorny issue to talk about in the field of cognitive neuroscience. Okay? Now, some discussion points to talk about in connection to emotions. You can just pause the video if you want to. Ayan, numbers 1 to 3. Pause the video and then answer these questions yourself, or if you have someone right there, can you talk about these questions? And then pause the video and then continue the video after you talk about this. Okay? So for discussion number 1, the main point here is we want to emphasize that the intellectual condition of the self is different from the emotional condition of the self. The intellect and the emotions are two different components of the self. And given that, it means you can be okay intellectually but not fine emotionally, or vice versa. Kasi nga magkaibang aspect ng self yan. But what's the difference first? Intellect has something to do with the way you answer questions and solve problems. This is the component of the self that we nurture in universities. Kaya nga sa university, we give you information, we give you assignments, we give you projects, we give you exams. All of those to nourish your intellectual condition. When we talk about emotions, we talk about your feelings. How do you manage your feelings is your emotional condition. Two different things. That's why, again, a person can be okay intellectually but not okay emotionally, and vice versa, because these are two different aspects of the self. Now, this is a good exercise to do. Given our senators, you can profile them according to their intellectual condition and emotional condition. Again, we are not doing this to make fun of our senators. We have to respect our senators. But this is a good exercise to profile someone in connection to intellectual and emotional condition. Among our senators, who do you think? Very rare ito, no? But who do you think parehong okay yung intellectual and emotional condition niya? Intellectually smart, emotionally smart. Can you spot any senators who are like that? How about the imbalances? Yung may mga imbalances na. Can you think of a senator right now, based on your observations, who is intellectually fine but emotionally down? Wala siyang problema intellectually pero may problema siya emotionally. How about the reverse? Okay ang emotion niya pero intellectually may problema. Hindi siya ganun kagaling sumagot ng mga problems. Or how about meron ba kayo naiisip na senators na parehong wala? Parehong mababa. Merong intellectual shortcoming, meron ding emotional shortcoming. Again, no names, just keep it to yourself, but this is a good exercise to do. From the Senate, let's now move on to a more intimate place, which is the classroom, specifically inside universities. Like right now, all of you listening to me, mga estudyante ko, di ba? Iba-iba rin kayo ng intellectual and emotional condition. Some of you are okay intellectually, but you have lots of emotional issues. Some of you don't have emotional issues, but you have a lot of intellectual issues. And that's fine. Diba? Whatever your condition is, we are here to nurture both. But speaking of nurturing both, studies show, no, that in most schools, wala naman talagang problema sa intellectual condition eh. I mean, the school can spend money on books, can spend money on the best teachers, can spend money on a very good curriculum. In general, okay naman talaga yung intellectual nourishment ng mga students inside the schools. But if you dig deeper, one of the problems of many students today in Philippine schools is in the emotional side. Do you agree? Like right now in your campus, do you know someone who is intellectually smart, but at some point, marami silang mga emotional issues that they cannot handle well? Diba? I'm guessing that you can think of maybe 2 to 3 people in the campus who are in this situation. That's why there are educational experts who say that maybe one of the problems that school should address is not on the intellectual side, but more on the emotional condition. Many students today have a lot of emotional shortcomings. They have emotional deficiencies that schools need to address. So let's pose a question right now and you can post your answers in the comment section. What do you think should schools do to better nurture students' emotional condition? Kasi kapag yung mga emotional problems sa mga students hindi naayos ng mabuti, bad outcomes may happen. And in fact, it's already happening. I mean, if you are reading the news, shooting incidents, stabbing incidents are some manifestations, could be possible manifestations of these emotional problems that students encounter in schools that are left unaddressed. Diba? So you can answer this question through the comment section. Ilagay nyo lang dyan. If we have time, babasahin natin yan. Now, let's move on to discussion number 2. Pause the video if you need to. Were there any moments in your life where you experience that your heart and your mind are contradicting each other? Parang yung sinabi ni Blaise Pascal, the heart has its reasons which reason knows nothing. May mga pagkakataon ba sa buhay mo na nagtatalo ang isip at puso? Pause the video and then think about those situations where this happened. Now, whatever your answer is, merong tawag sa ganyang self-phenomenon. When the mind is going against the heart, it's called cognitive dissonance. Oops, sounds familiar. When was the last time you heard about cognitive dissonance? When I gave a lecture on the definition of the self, wherein in that lecture, I mentioned that when there's another self that is threatening yourself, nagdi-disagree sa self mo, most likely makaka-experience ka ng dissonance. Halimbawa, in this example, sinabi mo that your school is the best school. Yung kausap mo sabi sa'yo, sinungaling ka, hindi totoo yan. Most likely, makaka-feel ka ng dissonance. Or, for those of you who watch NBA, sabi mo, the New York Knicks deserve to win the championship. Ang sabi naman ng kausap mo, hindi, chamba. Sana ang nanalo San Antonio Spurs, mas deserving sila. Ano mafe-feel mo? You're going to feel certain degree of cognitive dissonance. But cognitive dissonance in this example is interpersonal. You can also experience cognitive dissonance in the intrapersonal level, which means ikaw lang. And when does that happen? When the mind is in conflict with your heart. Ang tawag din dyan, cognitive dissonance. And this is one of the reasons why you are going to experience confusion. 'Di ba? Yung pagkalito, isa yan sa mga common emotion that we feel in our existence. Nalilito tayo tungkol sa mga bagay-bagay. Now we know. When is the time? Most likely, you're gonna feel self-confused when you experience cognitive dissonance this way. Iba yung sinasabi ng isip mo sa puso mo. Such as from this song by Desario in 1979. I would understand if you no longer know the song because it's an old song, but the message of the song reflects dissonance, confusion. Sabi nung writer dito, my head says go and find the door. My heart says I found you. Torn siya about a person. Bakit? Magkaiba yung iniisip ng logic niya from the heart. Sabi ng logic niya, my head says go and find the door. Bakit? Because you have all the logical reasons not to be with this person. Huwag mo siyang asawahin. Huwag mo siyang jowain. You have all the good reasons. Bakit? Number 1, maraming utang. Number 2, bad influence. Maraming mga bisyo. Diba? You have all the good reasons not to be with this person. Pero bakit hirap na hirap kang isnabin? Bakit hirap na hirap kang iwanan? Kasi your heart says, I found you. Sabi ng puso mo, mahal na mahal mo. Yun. So in those situations, whenever your heart is in contradiction with your heart, your head is in contradiction with your heart, the question is, who do you follow? And I give these survey questions to my students. Number 1, which do you follow more? Whenever you find yourself in that situation, nagtatalo yung isip at puso mo, sino mas pakikinggan mo? Isip or puso? So I let my students raise their hands. So iba-iba. Merong mas nakikinig sa isip, merong mas nakikinig sa puso, no? Letter B, which one is easier to follow? Which one feels more natural to follow? When you follow your logic or when you follow your heart? And speaking of logic and heart, how would you know your tendency to follow your thinking or your feeling? One test to do that or to find out is the MBTI. Although just a qualifier, MBTI today, it's no longer that much recognized as before as a legitimate psychological test. Gagawa na lang natin ng ibang lecture yan, but for the sake of knowing yourself, MBTI measures your tendency to be a thinker or to be a feeler. Specifically, that's found in the third letter of your typology. Diba? Are you letter T, a thinker, or letter F, a feeler? So, what's the difference between a thinker and a feeler? I'm going to flash some of the descriptions and then I want you to read. And then as you read, I want you to decide. Can you see yourself in that description? Okay? Let's talk about thinking first. Ito yung mga letter T. Ganyan daw sila. So, pause the video, read on your own, this one, and then ask yourself, are you seeing yourself in this description? How about the feelers? Yan. Ito naman yung mga feelers. Pause the video, read this one, and ask yourself, are you more of a feeler? Okay? Now, let's move on to discussion number 3. Do you agree with the principle follow your heart? Give some advantages and disadvantages in following this life principle. This is a very popular teaching in our society. Follow your heart. Listen to the voice within. Paano mo ba malalaman kung anong right course para sa'yo? Anong sasabihin sa'yo? Ano ba sinasabi ng puso mo? If you are wondering, is it about time to marry your long-time girlfriend? Ano sasabihin ng mga tao sa'yo? Kayo ba? Ano bang dinidikta ng mga puso ninyo? Yun. It seems like in our society, heart has become the main source of our decisions. Now, that's the question. I have nothing against this principle, but we have to practice critical thinking here. In general, is this a good principle to live by? To base your actions, base your decisions on what your heart says. Sabi nga ng isang author in connection to that, if you don't follow your heart, you might spend the rest of your life, wishing you had. The first time you read it, it sounds inspirational, it sounds motivational, but again, practice critical thinking. In general, is this a good principle to live by? Now, one way to answer that question is to ask ourselves, bakit? Does acting out based on feelings affect the quality of ourselves? May kinalaman ba yan sa magiging takbo ng buhay natin if we always base everything on what we feel? Well, the following quotes would say, yes, no? Halimbawa, kapag sobrang in love mo, 'di ba? Sobrang in love ka, tapos na broken-hearted ka. Sabi ng isang boy band dito, whenever he thinks about the ex, what happens? Nagiging unproductive na naman siya. Kaya yung analogy niya dyan, parang nagda-drown daw siya. You keep me drowning in your love. It's just an analogy. The word drowning here refers to being unproductive. You don't know what to do. You are functionless. You are no longer functioning as how you used to whenever you remember again the past of the person that you used to love. My heart beats again. Baby, I can't help it. You keep me drowning in your love. So, nagiging dysfunctional ka na. Diba? If you just base everything on your emotions or even anger. This one is another powerful proverb. Sabi, don't get angry too quickly because anger often leads people into what? Foolish behavior. If you let your anger eat you alive, if you let your anger get into your head, you end up doing things that you regret later on to be doing. Ang tawag dyan in a more popular term sa psychology is emotional hijacking, wherein your emotions overpower the part of your brain responsible for reason and logic that you end up thinking less. And would you agree? Tinatanong ko yung mga students ko, no? Isa sa mga nakakatakot na mga tao na kausap are those people who think less. Do you agree? Marami tayong mga nagagawang masama, hindi tama, when we do certain things with low levels of thinking. And what could be a reason why someone would be thinking less? Connect the dots, being highly emotional. When you base your actions on certain emotions, you end up almost killing someone. Speaking about road rages, di ba? Simpleng traffic altercation, simpleng nagkasingitan lang, simpleng nagkatinginan lang sa daan, magkakaroon ng emotional hijacking like this, ends up in major events like this. To the point na baka makapatay ka pa. Diba? Positive emotions can also be experienced through emotional hijacking. Such as, for example, how many of you have done something irrational out of love? Ikwento mo nga dyan sa comment section kung meron ka. Ano ang pinaka-irrational na nagawa mo simply because super in love ka sa isang tao? 'Di ba? Hatid sundo mo araw-araw, Monday to Friday. Saan ka nakatira? Sa Manila. Yung nililigawan mo saan? Sa Tugigaraw. Hindi practical na araw-araw mong hatid sundo yan. Mahal mo eh. So kahit na araw-araw kang gumagastos ng malaki, kahit araw-araw na pagod ka na, pero dahil mahal na mahal mo, no matter how irrational something is, you're still gonna do it. May isa akong kakilala, so sobrang in love niya doon sa girlfriend niya. Anong ginawa niya? Pinatattoo niya yung mukha ng girlfriend niya, kasama na yung pangalan, full name. And you know where it went. Hindi rin sila nagkatuluyan later on. Ngayon, problema niya kung paano niya i-cover up yung mukha at full name ng ex niya. Oh my goodness. People do a lot of irrational things when they are in love. Not to mention promises, ha? Diba? Sabi nga nila, promises are meant to be broken, especially in the context of love. What could be the explanation? Meron na namang concept sa psychology ang tawag overestimation effect, wherein you make promises that you cannot keep simply because you feel so happy, you feel so positive. You can only deliver a 5, but you are promising a 9. Kaya ano ang ending? Hindi mo na-deliver yung promise mo. Yung promise mo na ginawa mo para doon sa taong mahal na mahal mo, kinakapos. Kaya mo lang naman kasi nagawa yung promise na yon in the first place, it's because you were so emotional. Like for instance, in this song, diba? Ito yung mga pinangako mo. Ang bibigat ng mga pangako mo dyan, specifically the last line of the song. Sabi, mula noon hanggang ngayon, ikaw at ako, promise. Hindi kita paaasahin, hindi kita sasaktan. Ang bibigat ng mga promises na yan. Now, we would understand, why is it whoever wrote this song promised these things? Because that person was very emotional. Siguro, super in love siya doon sa beloved niya, na-promise niya yan. Only to find out later on, hindi pala ito realistic, hindi pala kayang tuparin. And trivia, did you know that this song was really written by a couple wherein this song was the song that they sang during their marriage? And right now, correct me if I'm wrong, wala na sila. Diba? And it's not only limited to this song, ha? Yung ibang songs din, maraming ganyan. Maraming mga tao, ang theme song nila, This I Promise You ng NSYNC, pero ngayon hiwalay na. Because again, emotions can be deceitful that it can lead you to say things you cannot really keep. Kaya nga, this is one good way to reflect. Can you really deliver the promises that you give? Diba? Ilang promises na ba yung binitawan mo sa mga tao sa paligid mo? Now you ask yourself, can you really keep those promises? Or in Tagalog, nadala ka lang ng emosyon mo? In the Bible, one good example of emotional hijacking was what happened in the Garden of Gethsemane where Jesus was arrested. Isa sa mga disciples niya nagkaroon ng emotional hijacking by the name of who? Saint Peter. Kinuha niya yung sword niya, natagaan niya. He was able to cut the ear of one of Jesus' arresters. By the name of, ano pangalan nung umaaresto kay Jesus dito na naputulan ng tenga? Malchus. Yon. And don't think that this is just a story in the Bible na nababasa natin, because up until today, real life emotional hijack Peter still exist. Again, they exist on the road, and worse, they could exist in schools. Again, if you remember those different incidents based on the news, young people today are very prone to emotional hijacking. And last one, as we end this lecture, let's talk about anger and the words that you say. There's a very big connection between anger and the words that you say. Diba? Pause the video. What was the worst thing that you said to someone while you were so angry to that person? Huwag mo na lang ilagay sa comment section because for sure, hindi maganda yan. Right? But going back to that experience, what do we feel after saying those words? You're so angry to that person, nag-aaway kayo, nagkakainitan kayo, and then you said these words only to find out later on you said those words that you didn't mean. So what do? You approach the person, and what do you tell the person? Uy, yung kanina ha, yung sinabi ko kanina ha, yung ganito ka, ganyan ka, pasensya ka na, hindi ko sinasadya, I didn't mean those words. Diba? Binabawi mo. Ba't mo binabawi? In the first place, ba't mo ba nasabi? What made you say those words? Ano sagot? Emotional hijacking such as anger. But this is something something to think about in connection to the words that you say while you're angry. Do you think those words are more honest or less honest? Especially when you're angry. Yung mga sinasabi mo ba kapag galit na galit ka sa isang tao, are those words of honesty or words that you don't really mean? Mahalaga yan, especially in the context of marriage, kasi that will determine if you are in that situation whether you're going to take the words seriously or not. Halimbawa, yung partner mo, nag-aaway kayo. And then your partner told you, ayoko na, pagod na ako, maghiwalay na tayo out of anger. Diba? There are two options on how you take that statement na maghiwalay na kayo. First option is, wag ko na lang seryosohin yan. For sure, he didn't mean it. Galit lang yan, kaya niya nasabi yon. Or second option, maybe deep inside, matagal na niyang tinatago yun. Gusto niya talagang makapaghiwalay. At ngayon lang niya nasabi, bakit? Kasi out of anger, nawala yung mga defenses niya, finally nasabi niya. Interesting. And I am not here to decide for you which is which. You base it on your experience. Ikaw ba, when you were angry with someone and you said these words that you quote-unquote didn't mean, did you really not mean it? Or did you mean it, dinideny mo lang? Oh, something to think about as you're having your dinner later. So again, going back as we end this lecture, you decide on this. Is it a wise thing? Is it a good thing? Is it a moral thing to base everything that we do based on what our heart dictates? Okay? So if you have any questions or anything you want to add in this short lecture on the emotional self part 1, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa comment section. Kung may oras tayo, babasahin natin yan. Okay? Sir Howard here. God bless everyone. Until the next lecture, abangan nyo yung part 2 nito. God bless. Bye-bye.